this computer. So welcome to Katie, who's joining us from the US and is a bit of an Instagram queen. So some of you may have seen lots about the social shimmy. That was it, wasn't it, Katie? Yeah.
Yep,
Where,
yep.
where, where I kept seeing people's posts about it, and even though I do very little on Instagram, even I became more aware of it. So I'm hoping that you're going to inspire me in this session to actually start to use the damn thing.
I have your back. I'm really excited. I love Instagram. I think I can share screen.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, let's go into it. I know I only have a half an hour, and I tend to be one of those people who will give you a fire hose of information, and I want to make sure that we get to everything because I just love talking about Instagram. I'm obsessed with it. So, hi, I'm Katie. I am a dancer based in the US. And why should you care about what I have to say about Instagram? I have grown my Instagram audience to over 18,000 followers, and I have been holding sold out events, classes before, during, and since the pandemic, in person and online. And I'm here to give you some tips and tricks for you to be able to do the same. I could get into the whole resume of what I've done and what things I've held, but please just DM me if you want to know particulars for hosting online events or in-person events or any of that. Like, I literally teach a 12-week course on building your brand and coming out really as a professional dancer, or I know many of you are also Pilates instructors or yoga teachers or strength training. You know, many of us as belly dancers, we wear many different hats, not just doing our own PR and our own admin, but we also do teach things outside of belly dance as well. And so I teach a course, literally a 12-week course on that. So to get me to speak for only a half an hour is going to be a little bit challenging, but I hope you find this interesting. And I did leave time at the end for Q&A as well. So let's go. So what are we going to learn today? We are going to learn about why Instagram is different than Facebook and how to approach each one more effectively. They're two different platforms. Even though they're owned by the same company, they are two very, very different platforms, and we want to approach and use them a little bit differently to make the most use of our time. If you do decide to use Instagram, you don't have to use Instagram. I know as the Instagram person, I shouldn't be telling you that, but I have people doing stuff on TikTok and then ignoring Instagram. It's all like the previous speaker, Dorta, said, it's all about knowing where your people are at and what platforms they're using. And if you walk away from this thinking about Instagram may not be for you, that I'm glad, because that will have saved you a lot of time, right? Anyway, after that, we're going to talk about what you don't need in order to grow on Instagram, what your audience wants to see from you, how to gain trust with your followers, and best practices that you may not have thought about. So that's what I'm going to cover, hopefully pretty quickly here. So Instagram is great for finding people outside of your existing social networks, right? If we all think about it, I think I joined Facebook probably 13, 14 years ago when it first came out, which just, woo, that's kind of scary to me. But if you think about it, Facebook in the original days, it was for college students to connect with each other. Maybe you added, your high school classmates and people in your existing social networks. As we got more familiar with the platform, then, I'm sure a lot of you did things like, oh, I met this dancer at a festival, so I'm going to add her on Facebook, even though you're not really friends. You're using it kind of as like a little Rolodex, right? That was Facebook. Instagram is really useful for getting you in front of new eyeballs. We want to get you outside of those people that you already know, because if they already know you and they haven't taken a class from you, guess what? They may not. They're like my uncle 3 states away is connected with me on Facebook, but he's not going to want to take a belly dance class from me, right? And so that's what Instagram is really great for, is getting in front of new people, especially for those of you who are teaching online. I don't know the COVID situation in the UK right now. The US, we're kind of in this weird it depends state to state, but some people are doing hybrid, some people are online only, some people are back to in-person. But I feel like at least 70% of dance teachers right now have some kind of online component. And so why limit yourself to your existing network and your existing local community when there's literally 4 billion people on the internet who could want to learn to dance from you, right? So this is where Instagram really, really, really shines. The other great thing about Instagram, I find, is that it's a better platform to showcase your skills and deliver a little bit of value. I'm going to get into what value means in a little bit later on in the presentation, but it's kind of like, oh, hey, I can do this thing. And that's what people are going to Instagram to do. They don't want to just see, oh, like, here's a picture of my lunch or here's my kids or whatever, as great as that may be. I enjoy seeing those posts from my friends for sure. But Instagram is a really great platform to be like, here are my strengths. This is what I do. Here's some insight, and just putting that information out there for people to consume for free, just to kind of show like, hey, you know what you're talking about, right? Facebook, as I said earlier, is great for staying connected to people already in your network. Again, like the previous speaker was saying, it's great. Some people utilize Facebook groups for their classes. It's great for staying connected with those local communities. I know the UK is more than just London. And so you have, all the kind of smaller towns and cities where maybe there's a couple teachers and then you all just keep up with events with each other. And Facebook is really great for that. And also keeping in touch with other dancers who may not be on Instagram, right? Facebook is also a great way, instead of showing your expertise through a video or a long caption or something like that, you can show your expertise in those Facebook groups through discussion and dialogue. I personally actually avoid Facebook for the most part because I find a lot of the discussion within the belly dance community to be very contentious and not very productive and not a great use of my time. To be quite honest, there was a time, maybe 3-4 years ago when there were some very lively discussions happening in a true spirit of collaboration and kind of like a collegial kind of thing of us all wanting each other to get better. That still sometimes happens on Facebook once in a while. And I find Facebook is a great area for you to chime in, being like, hey, actually, my view is this, and really showing up with that professional knowledge that you have within the belly dance community, maybe not so much with new students or something like that. Facebook is also going to be great if you have local communities. You have like the women's group of Bristol or something. You can go and add your classes if they have like an advertising day or something like that. Facebook is really, really useful for that. So just a little bit kind of like neither one is better. They just each have their kind of pros and cons and whatever. Personally, for me, I do Facebook for a lot of I use my mailing list. Again, we were just talking about mailing lists. And I do use Facebook to keep people up to date. And I do like the Facebook events options. And Instagram is kind of more of a portfolio showing that I do this thing and reaching out to the broader belly dance community saying, hey, this is what I'm up to. This is what I host and whatever. And I have different ways of connecting with my local community. So I want to talk about what you're wasting time with on Instagram, because there is so much misinformation out there, and there's so many Instagram gurus who think that they know it all, and they're going to encourage you to kind of waste your time on some of this stuff. You do not need to have an expertly crafted, curated feed where your every photo is just so. You do not need to have a professional photo shoot every time you post. Like, A, who can afford that? Like, that's not going to happen. B, people don't relate to that, especially when we're talking about those kind of beginner intermediate students. I don't know if any of you have ever heard this. I've heard this, where you post that super glammed up, beautifully shot photo of yourself, and you just hear, oh, well, I could never look like that. No, we don't need that. We need variety. So you don't need to make every picture just so perfect on Instagram. The influencer days of Instagram of like 2015 to 2018 or so, where everything was like a product placement or just these beautiful outfits, new outfits every day of the week. Like, this is so gone. This is so gone. This is very passe. People relate to people. They want to see you being you. Of course, you can post those glam photos of yourself. Yes, you can post those wonderful videos you got at a gig or a show you did or whatever. But people also want to see the process. They want to see the difference. They want to see what your day-to-day life is. And so do not think that you have to be perfect to be on Instagram. That is really the core tenet of social shimmy, really, is just showing up on Instagram makes a huge difference. You do not need to be anybody that you're not, or copy anybody else, or do what anybody else is doing. In fact, if you do that, you're really setting yourself up for failure, right? Like, it's not going to work. You're not going to want to do it. You're not going to show up. You're going to feel like fake and phony and contrived. You're not going to want to do it. So don't think that you have to be perfect to be on Instagram. Do not worry about like your peak posting times and schedules and like what time is the perfect time for me to post. Honestly, if you are under 2,000 to 3,000 followers, this should be the least of your concerns. As long as you are posting, within reasonable hours, like from, I would say, like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., your time, obviously, you'll be fine. Don't post at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday and wonder, okay, well, why did my post not get any likes? Okay, well, you posted at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, nobody's online. But don't get lost in the weeds with this stuff. So many people get lost in this, like, this kind of trivial stuff that it does matter a little bit, but it doesn't matter if you're getting started. It doesn't matter as much as having good content. Good content is king or queen or whatever. You want to have good content, worry about this other stuff last. If any of you have seen this trend on Instagram, I think hopefully everybody here should know this, but I'm just going to put it out there anyway. Don't do follow for follow back, or use those kind of hashtags, or do these follow trains. Like, it's not worth your time. You're going to get garbage followers who aren't going to engage with your content. It's not going to do anything for you. It is a waste of time. Don't even bother. On top of that, do not buy followers. Please, please, please do not buy followers. It's against Instagram's terms of service. If they find you doing it, they could lock you out of your account indefinitely or permanently. Second, again, engagement matters on Instagram. What engagement means is if people like, comment, etc. And when you buy a follower, they're not going to engage with you. It's going to make your follower count go up, and you're going to feel like, oh, yay, I hit whatever milestone, right? And guess what? As somebody who used to kind of think this way, it doesn't go away. It used to be, oh, once I get 1K followers, I'll be happy. Once I'll get 5K, once I get 10K. It's just like your bank account. You'll never be happy. So don't bother with buying. Don't bother with buying followers. And if you see other people doing it, just know that you don't have to do it just to keep up with them. That's silly. Don't worry about the algorithm. So many people ask me, how do I beat the algorithm? How do I get my stuff seen? And I have the most unsexy answer to give you. And it's, you just got to be consistent and put out quality stuff. So many people are going to say, oh, I'm shadow banned. Nobody's seeing my content. What's going on? The algorithm doesn't like me because I'm a belly dancer. Oh, I got dinged for this. No. Quality content. It always comes back to quality content. Please. There's so many Instagram experts and gurus. I'm not saying that I know it all. I have people that I follow for my own advice and to kind of keep up on the trends and whatever. But especially, I have a feeling most people in here are kind of just starting out or aren't necessarily like Instagram power users the way that I am. So I don't want to get caught in this trap of like, okay, this is when you guys post, this is the hashtags to use, that stuff comes later. We have to build the foundation of our house first before we start putting in the curtains and, putting in the dance studio and the mirrors and all that. We really got to lay the foundation first before we worry about the rest of that. And that's what I'm trying to focus on in this talk. So that is what you're wasting time on with Instagram. Let me just check. Yeah, giveaways. So, all right, focus on this instead. Focus on these things are going to help you grow and attract the right people to your offers. So as belly dancers, we know we are popular with a certain subset of men, which is not a problem. But if you are just posting to attract those men, I will tell you, they're not going to take your class. They're not going to watch your online show. They're not going to donate to whatever cause you're raising money for. They're just there because you're a pretty girl, which, hey, I don't mind them. Feel free to follow me, but that is not who I post content to attract, right? We want the right followers. So let's focus on this instead. Focus on consistency. You do not need to post every day. I personally give people a baseline of 3 to 4 times a week posting on Instagram if you really want to make a real difference. Anything less than that, the algorithm will suppress you because people just are not interacting with, you're not giving people enough times to interact with you. And so your stuff is going to get suppressed down in the feed a little bit. So right now you'll see if you go to my Instagram, I'm on a very, very slow schedule right now because I honestly have more work than I know what to do with. I don't need more people. Like I don't need anything more. So I'm on a very, very, very slow schedule and I'm doing my own thing. But if you want to build and you want to grow, I definitely recommend about 4 times a week to make a real difference. With that 4 times a week, it would be great if you could mix up the variety of posts that you make. So, you know, one could be a reel, one could be a photo with a long caption, one could be a graphic, one could be a slide through carousel post, and just mixing that up so you're keeping your audience engaged, that it's not just the same thing every time. If you can't do it, maybe just pick 2 things that you like to do, maybe 2 photos and 2 reels, whatever it is that you like to do. If you want to explode with growth, like you want crazy numbers, because maybe it's just a goal. It's okay to have a goal of having X number of followers. I don't care about that. But if that's what you really, really want, you need to be posting reels every single day. That's a lot of work. I can't even do that. I cannot even do that. Kay, do you have a question? I feel like you have a question.
Yeah, this is going to sound really, what's a reel? Is that a little video?
Yeah, so Reels are Instagram's answer to TikTok. What happened is in 2020 with the pandemic, TikTok blew up because everybody was at home. It's really funny, easily engaging content that's like in 15-second little bursts. And TikTok was sucking so much of Instagram's audience away. And there are 2 different companies, like TikTok's its own thing. It's not owned by Facebook, right? That Instagram came out with Reels, which is basically short form video.
So do you find that on your phone, or do you just use it, just do a little video, or what's the?
Yeah, so I actually teach a whole class on TikTok, which could be transferred over to Reels, but Reels are inside of Instagram. And so you have different options for different kinds of posts that you can make on Instagram. You can just do a nice photo. You can do a longer video. You can do multiple photos in one thing. And then you can make these short form videos called Reels.
Okay, fantastic. And just on the chat, there's Yala has just said giveaways.
Oh yeah, some people do giveaways to get followers. Like, oh, I'll give away $100 if I get 100 followers or something. Like, it's just, don't do it. Don't succumb. It's so easy. It's so easy to succumb. So to focus on these things instead, so we focused on consistency. Reels definitely help. Showing up in your stories on the daily. If you have a day where you can't post, if you can at least make it into your stories to just post about anything. Stories are a great place to post about your day-to-day life, about what you have going on behind the scenes. The analogy that I always give, maybe it'll out me as a creeper, I'm sorry, but you know when you're taking a walk and you're walking by somebody's house and they have the curtains open, you all know we pass by and we're kind of like, oh, what's that they got in their house? Oh, that's kind of a cute curtain. Oh, this is what stories are for social media. This is giving people, let's say you do tend to post like pretty professional photos on your feed and it's working for you. Stories, however, are a great way to post that, like, hey, this is what it's like when I just wake up. This is what it looks like when I'm rehearsing. It gives people a little bit more intimate look at your life and makes you feel a little bit more authentic and relatable. And stories, again, if your people are using them, it's a great place to remind people, hey, I have class coming up tonight. Hey, this is what's going on this week. Posting your schedule, because maybe you have a week of content already planned and you've already advertised your class and you have your little tutorials and tidbits and all of that. Stories are a great place to go. And then you just say, hey, this is coming up this week. Tonight I'm doing this. Tuesday I got this going on. And give those little reminders. And to do, one of my favorite things to do in stories is to do the talking to camera story, where literally I just take out my phone and talk about something. I keep it to a minute, but maybe I talk about why I think this class is so exciting and why I'm so excited to teach it, or what little tidbits people are going to get out of class. Like, oh, we're going to make those shimmies really, really nice and relaxed and soft in this class. And I can't wait to share with you my 3 tips for that, and kind of get people excited for it. Stories are also great for market research. You can use all of the little options that you have, the little poll stickers like yes or no, or the little slider thing. You can use all of those things to be like, hey, are you excited for Saidi class tonight? And just put yes or no. And people love interacting with that kind of stuff. And it, again, it just keeps you top of mind. Like, oh yeah, she is teaching that. Even if they don't take it, they'll at least associate you with being a teacher that they can go to later on down the road. Using it as market research, once you have trained your audience to watch your stories, your story views will be low at the beginning because they're just not used to seeing you show up. But after people are used to seeing you show up on stories, this is where you can put, hey, have you taken a class with me? Yes or no. If you said no, why not? Or do you want to take a class with me? Yes or no. What topics would you like to see me teach? Do you like choreography or improv? Do you like Debki or Kate or Saidi? Do you like North African or Egyptian? You know, you can interact with your audience in this way to kind of get an idea of what they want from you. And it's very fun and very interactive. And to be very honest with you all, stories are where I do the most selling. This is where I convert people from like being like, I kind of sort of wanted to do the thing. I saw that advertisement to like, oh yeah, I'm going to go click the link to go sign up for that thing right now. And the great news is, it used to be that you had to have 10,000 followers on Facebook, on Instagram to have a swipe up to go to an outside link in your stories. That's no longer true. We all have the ability in our stories to post a link to whatever we're doing. So one thing I recommend for your stories is, say you do a talking to camera thing. Hey, my new term of classes is coming up. We start next week. We're going to be going over ballady variations, blah, 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 and talking about the course, and then having a slide at the end of that to register, click here. And then you have the little button and then people can click there. Stories are great for that. That is where I sell. Or in your stories, you can be like, hey, do you have questions? Reply to this and let me know. Because some people are can be a little bit shy sometimes. They don't want to publicly comment on your Instagram. But if you invite them to DM you and to start a personal conversation with you, they may feel more comfortable with that. Make sure that you connect and engage with those people who are following you. One of the biggest mistakes I see people doing on Instagram is they put up this post, they have a nice post and they get lovely comments and it's crickets. No, you got to reply to those people. I'm not saying you do not have to reply to comments as you come in. That's way too much work. That's way too stressful. But, you know, before you post, say you made a post on Monday and now it's Tuesday, you're going to post again. Before you post on Tuesday, go back to Monday's post, see what comments you got, see what questions you can add, see what follow-ups you can do, see how you can engage with those people who are following you. Because if they took that time to comment on your post, chances are they already like you. And you want to keep that rapport going and keep that good feeling, those good feelings going. Cause like, I know it's kind of sad. Like if you comment on somebody's stuff, like you do a heart, you know, kind of a long heartfelt comment and then you just get like a heart, right? Like you're like, okay, but keeping that engagement going is great. And then also making sure, I know social media can be a time suck. I'm actually on very strict social media parameters for myself. I have my time blocked out for different activities on social media, because otherwise I end up doing this all day, right? I can go to Instagram for a while, and then I'll go to Facebook for a while, and then I go to TikTok. No, what I do is I set schedules for myself. And one part of that schedule is going out into different hashtags and looking for people to comment on. And I do this without any expectation of that they're going to follow me or reciprocate or take my class. I just go out and find people who I think are interesting and engage with them, because you just have to put yourself out there. We often think, because we are humans and we are a tiny bit narcissistic by nature, in a good way, right? We want to promote ourselves and our classes and whatever. We kind of think of social media as this one-way street coming into us. Everything I put out there, I want to get comments and likes and feedback and all of that. But we have to remember it's actually a two-way street. We have to go out there and be making those connections with people and saying like, hey, this was a great video, or hey, even if going to other teachers, hey, I love how you taught this tip. I never thought about teaching Saidi this way. That's a great idea. And making those conversations happen and just being a little bit proactive about going out into the community, that's really going to attract people to you. And then focus on this, making your posts relevant to your ideal follower or your ideal client or your ideal student, whatever the case may be. I'm not really touching gigging dancers in this because I know this is for the dance teachers. But I think all of us kind of know the people who come to us for dance classes. Like we can't pigeonhole them exactly like, oh, they're a 45-year-old woman in the suburbs with 2.5 kids and, whatever. Like it may not be that specific. It may be more like, some people teach like 20-year-olds and some, who are just looking to have fun, versus like you're a dancer that really nurtures those intermediate and beyond dancers to become professional. We all know kind of who we're going for or who we want, and making sure that your posts speak to them. The issue I see a lot of dancers having is that, again, it's all this kind of I-based language, like, oh, I'm doing this, I do it this way, I like to teach this. How can you reframe it? How can you reframe your post to speak to them? When you come to belly dance class, don't you want to feel inspired and beautiful? This is how I teach, and then giving your personal view. You want to speak to them and invite them into the conversation instead of making it about Katie Sahar and her fabulous travels and, oh, her new costume and her gig that she has, and isn't her life fabulous, which is like kind of a trap I see a lot of people falling into, especially because there's dancers, belly dancers, and I love them dearly, but they're more like influencers, especially like kind of the girls dancing in Cairo. They're doing something different than we're doing. We're trying to be teachers. They're trying to get gigs. And of course, there's nothing wrong with getting gigs. And that's not to say that you can't gig and teach at the same time. But people who are solely gigging, who are in those hundreds of thousands of followers, they're marketing to different people than we're going to market to. So we want to really, really pull people in and tell them what they're going to get from following us. So how are we going to do that? I have some tips and tricks for you, and it's really, really, really easy to remember. We want to think about the 80-20 rule. I don't know if any of you have ever gone on a diet or started a new fitness routine or tried to save money. I have found this in so many different personal development spaces, and it's the 80-20 rule. And if we're talking about like your diet or fitness, it's 80% of the time you want to be doing the right thing, right? The other 20% of the time you can kind of slack off a little bit, enjoy yourself, take the day off, eat that piece of cheesecake, do whatever you're going to do. We want to think of our Instagram and our social media in that same way. 80% of the time, we want to deliver value. We want to be bringing quality content that people are going to walk away from being like, I'm glad I saw that. The other 20% of the time, that's when we're going to advertise. So this is the biggest problem I see, is so many dancers, they only show up on Instagram when they want to advertise or promote themselves. I think we can all name at least 5 people that we've wanted to unfollow or mute on Facebook or Instagram because the only time you see them show up is when they have some show poster or they have something that they want you to come to. I don't get it. I mean, I don't blame them. The hustle is real. We got to make money. We got to promote ourselves. But when the only thing somebody is doing is advertising to me, like me as the consumer of that content, like I still take class. I think everybody in here still takes classes. We're always forever learning, right? But there's a limit, especially in this online world. There's a limit as to what you could do. I could literally take classes for 40 hours a week with all of the options out there. So it's sad to me when there's dancers I like who I'm not necessarily going to take class from, only show up to promote at me. It's like, it's a little bit, I feel a little dry from it. Like, I feel a little sad. It's just like, yeah, I know you have this class coming up. I can't work it into my schedule, but like, I want to be in your community somehow, because I do want to like and support you, but I can't reshare every time you're teaching a class or having a show or doing whatever, right? And so the real problem, the real issue with this is this does not gain trust with new people who may have found you, right? Imagine, you are growing on Instagram, you're doing really well. Okay, well, you have this new person, they're not quite ready to click that buy button or to register for your classes yet. They're kind of feeling you out. If you guys are aware of know, like, and trust, they're still in that know to like phase. They haven't trusted you, but then all you do is advertise at them. It's going to be a turnoff, right? And frankly, it annoys the people who may like you, but aren't really gonna buy from you. It's just like, there's people that I've had to mute because it's just like, I really like you as a person, but I can't see the same class flyer again in my feed. It's not worth my time, So we want to remember 80% of your content should be either entertaining, inspiring, or educational. And then 20% of the time, it should just be advertising and promotion. So if we think about, if you're posting 4 times a week, we want to put out like 3 quality posts and then 1 advertisement. But the great thing is even when you're putting out these quality, entertaining, inspiring, educational posts, it actually works as soft marketing, right? Because you're proving what you know. You're proving that you care about the things that you're doing. You're just not in somebody's face going for the ask 24/7, right? So what are some examples of ways to build trust? So entertain. Reels and short form video are a great way, especially, again, I don't know the situation in the UK as much as the US, but I have a feeling it may be similar. In the US, especially in my area, I'm kind of in a mid-tier city. It's not LA or New York or Chicago. It's a little bit smaller than Chicago. We actually don't have any younger people coming to the dance. I want to say one of the youngest gals in our community is 33, which, okay, in the grand scheme of things is young. Yes. But where are the 19, the 20, the 21, the 22-year-olds, I care very deeply about passing on this art form. Like, I'm going to be 40 this year, and I'm not over the hill by any means, I feel like, but I do want to continue on, pass the baton on and start training people in, especially for those gigs and stuff. So people are getting quality entertainment, not just, a pretty dancer, that they're getting somebody who's pretty and knowledgeable and, culturally relevant, right? So the best way to do that, I feel like, is really meeting them on their level and going with that short form video. Again, I teach an entire class on TikTok. I could do 2 hours on TikTok and Reels strategy, but just familiarizing yourself with the trends that are happening with short form video, even just consuming a little bit of that content. And I know it can be tiring. I am a long form person myself. I love reading long books and watching long movies and writing long things, but I've had to kind of alter things a little bit because I do want to get more younger people interested in my stuff. And Reels, you can have a blast with them. There's so many Reels trends and TikTok trends that you can make to speak to your audience, or you can just do the simple, like, here I am in my day clothes, here I am day to day, and then quick transition, here I am all glammed up as a belly dancer. You throw some cute music on it, boom, you got a reel. It doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be, this long, intensive thing. It can be really, really fun and snappy. And again, just people like it. People love it. I love going on TikTok. I don't necessarily love making short form content, but I love consuming it. I love going on TikTok and seeing what people are doing. And there's some real creativity out there. So entertain. And even if short form video is not going to be the thing to do, tell a joke, tell a funny story. I always get great reactions when I tell kind of my flubs that I've messed up on, or funny little, we always have those gig stories, or, oh, my bra popped open and I had to do a funny little shimmy to the back, so I didn't show everything, show my business. People like to be entertained in that way, and it makes you very, very relatable. Inspire people. This is a great time to share any testimonials from your past customers, your past students, and talk about the benefits of what you do, especially when, if you're teaching those beginners. A testimonial could be a student who used to feel too shy to even, take off their big hoodie before class, and now they're wearing beautiful belly dance costumes, right? That's very inspiring to people. It speaks to them. Inspire people with your story. So many of you in here have been dancing and teaching for so long. Think about who you were before you started dancing and who you are now because of the dance, and sharing that journey with people. It can be really, really amazing and really can be inspirational. I mean, my first teacher, when I first started, she's older than my mom, and I think she's 75 now, and she's still teaching beginners, and how that's inspiring to me. Right. And having heard her stories throughout class and whatever, if she would have just put them on Instagram, she would be, she'd not know what to do with herself with online students, because that story is super inspiring to people, because we all know the objections, right? I'm not sexy enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not this, I'm not that, whatever. We all know those objections. So if you can take those objections, flip them, and make them into inspiring stories, boom, that is great content to share on Instagram. There's so many ways to inspire people. Can even just be a simple graphic that you whip up on Canva with a quote that means something to you, right? If you're sick of posting your face, I get this way sometimes. I get so tired of looking at myself. Are you kidding me? Sometimes I just go on Canva and make a little graphic and call it a day. It doesn't need to be crazy. The third way to build trust with people is to educate. I can hear the questions already, but Katie, they're going to take my combo. Katie, they're going to steal my choreography. Katie, they're going to take my special. No, okay. Think of it as a nice little mezza platter. You got a little bit of hummus, you got a little bit of baba ganoush, you got some tabbouleh, you have just the little tastes of everything. That is what your Instagram is. And you can do that with your educational content. I'm not saying put your entire 45-minute class up for free. I'm saying take 1 8-count combo and just say, hey, this is what we're working on. It's going to help you with your fluidity and your turns. Boom. Or doing a little thing. We all know, let's take the turns example. We all know that people have a hard time with turns when their core isn't engaged. Why not just put a tip up there that says, are you having problems with turns? Make sure that your chest is lifted and your core is engaged, and see how it goes. It can be as simple as that, right? Giving out that free educational content really builds trust with people. It gives them an idea of who you are as a teacher. It gives them an idea of your personality. It gives them an idea of what they would get by taking class with you. You do not have to give away the whole cow for free. Really, I put so much free social media content out there because I am very much a abundance mindset person. Like, I'm here to make a bigger pie. I don't want to fight over these little scraps. And so I just put a lot out there for free, and I trust that it's going to come back. And I think you can see by teaching, by having sold out events and classes, that's working pretty well for me. So I really, really recommend that. And that's where we are. I wanted to leave time for Q&A. So please keep in touch with me. Just a quick note, I do things. I have a VIP half day and full day where you either sit down with me for 3 to 6 hours, depending on which package you choose. And we map out your social media content for 6 weeks to 12 weeks, depending on which one you do. And we sit down, we map it out. If you got Uber Eats in the UK, I send you Uber Eats, I send you lunch, and we just sit down to get to know each other and to plan out that content for you. And then I also do a 12-week course, which is opening up again in February. I have run it 2 times now, both times sold out, and it is just a really great course. I'll drop some links in the chat, but please follow me on Instagram. I guess you can find me on Facebook if you want, or email me. My website is woefully out of date. Maybe don't go there, but I'll drop some links in the chat before I take some questions. I think I came in with a couple minutes for questions. Did I go over? I went way over, didn't I?
You did, but it was really fascinating. So, hey.
I'm so sorry. Whoever's next, I'm so sorry.
So, no, it's all right. You're our last speaker. So then we have a little discussion about any issues people are having, things like that. And yeah. So any questions, anybody, for Katie?
Unmute. Talk to me. I want to hear from you.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of people typing in. Thank you, Katie. Really useful, excellent, brilliant. So, yeah, I mean, I'm almost feeling inspired to go on Instagram.
Yes.
I was looking at reels and suddenly the sound came on and like, oh my God. So I will have to learn to play with it and see what I can figure out.
You know, it's really fun. I have had so many people just have fun creating this content. One of my clients, Adrienne in Los Angeles, she's a graphic designer by trade and just one of those people with like a beautiful kind of visual aesthetic. And she's had so much fun playing around with reels. She doesn't even teach classes. She doesn't even gig. She's really one of those dancers. You know, she kind of went back to her day job, but she still wants to be in the community. She had a reel get millions and millions of views, and she got 20,000 followers overnight with a 10-second tutorial about how to do chest lifts. And it was nothing, profane or anything like that. She was in a very nice covered outfit and whatever, but because she used like new music that was coming out of Egypt, her setup was really nice. Her visuals were beautiful. Like, how cool that she reached millions of people. Like, I just think that's amazing.
So one question actually, are you meant to go on like the vertical with your camera rather than on the side? Yeah,
exactly. You want to make sure that it's vertical, and that if you do overlay text on it, that you're not putting it too far to the side or too far up or too far down, because there's all the controls and you don't want that getting, all messy and whatever.
Lovely.
Hi, Katie.
Hey,
Jane. I'm on Instagram, but I'll be honest, I mostly just post pictures of scenery. Would you recommend maybe having a separate Instagram account for your dance life as opposed to one where you just post where you've been for a walk?
Yes, I definitely would. Mainly, because people want to kind of know what they're getting into. And if they see things from different areas of your life, they might be a little bit confused. But what you can do, like posting those pictures of your walk or your lunch or your dog or whatever, those are great for your stories, for your belly. Even if you have like a belly dance specific Instagram, that's great stuff for your stories, because people like to see what you're up to. Like, I kind of wish we would go back to the Facebook days where people would post their lunch and pictures of their kids in some ways, because it's like, but that's great for your stories. I hope, does that help?
So if you do the stories, then that's like here and gone.
Yes, they're available. They're available for 24 hours.
Okay.
And then what you can do is you can have highlights. You can go back to your previous stories, and you can have highlights for each thing. So if you go look at my Instagram, for example, you'll see like I have a highlight for Performers Brand Academy. I have a story highlight for testimonials. I have a story highlight, for different things. And so you can make them reactivate in that way.
Okay, that's a step too far for me. I need to start. I
Just
need
start
to
using
start
stories
just
first.
putting stories on first. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Anybody else, ladies? Any questions?
Fire hose of information.
Yeah.
Hello, can I ask a question?
Please.
So I seem to have accumulated quite a few followers on Instagram. I don't post many things, but they all seem to be Middle Eastern men, and I'm just wondering how to become more visible to actual dancers and potential students, and kind of avoid that they sometimes send questionable messages to me as well. So
Yes, yeah. So first things first, as far as the questionable messages go, what I do for my account is I have my DMs set up that only if I'm following you will I receive your DM. Otherwise, it goes into a special inbox that, like, thank God it will blur out the photos that they send, right? Like, but I do get some followers like that I do want to connect with and I do want to engage with. You're going to get them no matter what. Like when you hashtag something belly dance, we want other belly dancers to see it. We're all seeing that tag, but then they also know, right? They're going to see it. It's kind of annoying. I'm not going to lie. You can remove them for sure. Like removing followers is totally acceptable. It's your social media. You're allowed to do with it whatever you want. But as far as finding people, definitely this is my secret trick. I go to people who I like and I go look at who they're following on Instagram. And that's where I kind of go look through people and I'm like, oh, I've never heard of this person. Let me go look through their feed. Like they're kind of cool. Otherwise, local hashtags. This is, I think like I said, I could have gone on for like 3 hours with you guys. But looking at your local hashtags and just finding people in your community, maybe other artists, maybe other dancers, and then you can kind of curate your explore page in that way. So more interesting things are coming up to you, but really going into the following list of other people is like my secret weapon. It's a little, I mean, it's public information, so whatever. And then, like I said, in the presentation, like just engaging with people and just leaving comments. And, if you can ever put in your 2 cents, that's like, like feel free to come on my post and just leave your 2 cents on anything that I post. And then the conversations will start happening and you'll start meeting people. Do this. I don't think you did social shimmy last year. Did you?
no.
I'll do social shimmy again. I'll do social shimmy again in August this year. And so feel free to do social shimmy. That's why I created it, was for people to really connect with each other.
I had, I knew several people that were involved in last year's and really good reports of it, Katie. So they all got loads from it. So yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. We did Roxanne Grant, who's one of my favorite UK dancers. I feel like everybody in here probably knows Roxanne. I had her do like how to take your own selfies for social media because she's such a beautiful photographer. Yeah. Like I remember meeting her when I was in the UK one time, and then I was like, I need to do photo shoots with you. You're amazing. We just have a lot of fun with it, and it's a great time. So we'll be doing that again. I'll probably think of something in the meantime, like maybe a little bit pared down version, but yeah.
Excellent. So there's a few people, a few people have commented about Middle Eastern men, Louise. I don't know if you've seen in the chat. Get rid of them, the men, I mean.
Yeah. And, I mean, I'm a big fan of boundaries. My 2022 word of the year is boundaries, just my personal life, social media life, business life, anything that makes you uncomfortable, you do not have to accept it. It doesn't even mean they need to say anything inappropriate for you to get to that point. If you just look at at their profile, you see that they're a man, get rid of them. Or you see that they're a woman and their profile is not public and you don't know where they are, get rid of them, delete and block.
Excellent. Well, that's been really fascinating, and I shall put it on my what did your daughter call it, protected time, that I have to do Instagram for X amount of time a day, just until I get used to it.
honestly, just 15 minutes a day can be
Okay.
so useful. And it has really, I could tell a whole story about how I got into it, but it was Azad's fault. So many of you know I've been to the UK 3 times to study with Azad Khan when Tevich hosted him in London. And he's a good friend of mine. And he was like, Katie, you got to get on Instagram back in like 2018. I was like, I don't want to do that. And now how the tides have turned, right? Like it's really, it can be really a lot of fun. And like I said, I do enjoy Facebook. I've been on Facebook forever, but sometimes the contentious nature of discussions there can be a little bit off-putting.
I have to say, I just ignore all of those. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's have a look. So I know we've this has sort of eaten up most of our last session, but it's fine, Katie. It's fine because I think it's been really useful for us. So let's say unless anybody has any more last chance, any more questions? Okay, let's say a big thank you to Katie for all of her. It's been really interesting. And
thank you so much for having me. I was so delighted when I got the email from you.
Yeah,
so thank you.
Pleasure. Much. And if you want to send me, anyway, you probably have more than enough people on all the things you run, but you're always welcome to send me stuff through.
Sure.
Old-fashioned email is best for me.
Hey, I love email.
I love the word out.
You ever want to get a hold of me, email is honestly always your best bet.
Yeah.
I get it.
Okay.
So everybody, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much, Katie. Bye-bye.